Greetings to the brothers. This is Waymon Brown, the creator of the EsquireProject.com. I want to welcome you to another video. Of course, the EsquireProject.com is a website that is dedicated to the self-enterprising black man and his quest of personal achievement. It's been a minute, but I definitely am glad that everybody's been sticking in there with me at the release of this next video, and I appreciate everyone for being patient. And also, of course, I am genuinely happy about everybody's continued support. So I thank you for it in advance. As always, feel free to touch base with me. It's always one love, and let's get back into what we started. You know, one part of my mission through the EsquireProject.com is to help other black men to get in control of their personal finances, largely by encouraging taking an entrepreneurial attitude and approach to the marketplace. So as this channel grows on YouTube, we'll get into some more topics that are relating to such, which actually leads into a topic that I think will be very interesting to touch on, and that I think will be really informative and maybe a bit controversial, as this particular area of business is often either praised by some or damned by others. And that is the topic of network marketing. First, let me preface this video by stating that I am not representing any network marketing companies at all, or multi-level marketing companies. I'm not involved with any. And I say network marketing and multi-level marketing as the two terms are often used interchangeably. Now, I do want to tell you that years ago, when I was I'm 34 now, but in my mid 20s, I had some experience within that industry with a couple of different companies. But I won't be addressing any of those opportunities throughout this video. And this video won't either involve me endorsing nor condemning the business of multi-level or network marketing. But rather, what I'll be doing is presenting you with information as an unbiased peer, offering you some things to consider if you're either looking to get involved with that particular industry, or if you're already actually in it and you kind of could use some tips and some pointers as well, or maybe just some more information from a different perspective as someone who is no longer in it, has no bad blood about anything, and neither am I promoting it either. I'm relatively going to try to stay as neutral as I can within this particular arena, but I think it'll definitely address a lot of areas that people have questions and comments about. And I think this is the first video that I've done where I've actually had to give a disclaimer. And that's because this can be a touchy subject. It can be a sensitive topic, being that network marketing has a varied reputation with some very strong opinions around it, both from the proponents and from the critics. But my objective is to inform you brothers out there in particular who are designing their lifestyles to be more congruent with their values. And of course, you're examining as part of that different streams of income to support yourself in doing so. And network marketing is one of those areas that I'm sure a number of brothers are considering, or that they have considered, or even that they might be presently involved with. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing that I want to do is I want to kind of, peel back, or, kind of undress the veil, so to speak, on the complexity of the idea of what network marketing really is at its core in terms of an actual business model. So just to give you some examples, if you've ever referred a friend to a job in order to get a bonus, or if you've ever talked about a movie that led to somebody going to go see it, or perhaps even you just referred another brother to a good barber, then you have participated in a type of network marketing, whether you realize it or not. Now, the basic concept of network marketing from an industry standpoint is when you inform your network, meaning, of course, your peers, your family, your friends, really anybody whom you have some sort of a solid rapport with, about different products and services that you find helpful. So hopefully they'll be inclined to check out those products and services as well, and they'll see the value in them and in turn use them too. Now, they may decide to not only do so as customers, but they may decide to actually join you in referring their network to those same goods and services, and enter into an actual business relationship with you as a teammate of sorts, resulting in both of you actually having the opportunity to earn streams of income, which could include profits from the direct sales of those different products and services. For example, simply buying at wholesale, selling at retail, along with other recurring income that is often paid out as bonuses on either a weekly, a quarterly, or a monthly basis as a result of the sales activities that are taking place throughout your network where other people are doing the same thing of promoting these products and services, so on and so forth. Now, this type of marketing system is heralded by many within that industry as being the most viable means. Some actually consider it the most viable means to generate wealth within a community for the average person, meaning the person of average means, perhaps even average education, etc. Now, network marketing is actually a part of a larger conglomerate known as direct selling. And direct selling is designed to provide independent representatives with an opportunity to deliver goods and services to the marketplace directly. So, in other words, people are the franchises in direct selling instead of locations. And the people are both the distributors of those goods and services and also the retailers. Now, just some fast facts. According to the Direct Sales Association, the direct sales industry had just under about 35 billion in retail sales taking place in 2017. And this included sales ranging from health and wellness products to business and personal services and nearly everything in between, as you can probably imagine. Now, black people in the States represent, or at least represented, about 13% of that industry, and men as a whole represent about 1 out of 4 people within that industry. And this industry involves people of all ages, from those who are just getting out of high school to baby boomers and other individuals, most of which participate from home, and they do so on a part-time basis. And they're essentially using the industry as a means to supplement their working income. Now, one of the factors that a lot of people actually find appealing about network marketing is that it's typically viewed as a very cost-effective way to access entrepreneurship. Basically because most of these business opportunities don't come with the startup costs or even the operating costs that one might definitely expect from a traditional brick and mortar business. And then you couple that also with the different testimonials that people have had from being involved in the industry of network marketing, in which they've been able to proclaim that the industry has helped them to improve their financial situations. Everything from from securing monthly mortgage payments to replacing their income at their jobs where they can walk away from their jobs or maybe go from full-time to part-time to actually becoming multimillionaires. And these different testimonials have, attracted those considering the industry, but it's also raised a lot of doubt and has also raised a lot of criticisms. Now, some of those criticisms have been that network marketing is composed of individuals with basically limited academic education or people who really don't have clear career agendas. But while I definitely won't be trying to get you to sway in either direction, one thing I can say is that that particular opinion is incorrect. I know that when I was involved in the industry of network marketing, there were all types of people from all types of backgrounds, some of them very affluent, some very influential, athletes, entertainers, former athletes, individuals who had, upper middle class incomes and were very influential in their respective fields, etc. A lot of people from a lot of different professions, but you also, of course, have some people who may have a middle school education or high school education or GEDs or maybe a couple years of college and everything else that you can imagine. So the industry has all types of people in it in terms of education levels. And another criticism that the industry has over it basically is one that pretty much is the most popular one, which is that it's essentially a scam or some sort of a scheme that finds its success in people at the top, so to speak, of a network marketing funnel to make all the cash, while those at the bottom of it don't really make much at all. But by this description, we can really say that life in a lot of ways can be seen as a pyramid, couldn't we? Because even if you just think about working at a job, the CEOs, the CFOs, the elite management, the upper management, undoubtedly they're definitely making a lot more money than the entry level workers, and the person who actually owns the corporations that a lot of us either work for or have worked for are essentially getting most of that bread, when those who are just coming in or maybe in middle management, etc., aren't nearly profiting, or not profiting, but actually earning in wages as much as they are profiting. So sometimes I think that that's a little bit of somewhat of a misunderstanding about the industry to a certain extent, but I'll actually elaborate a little bit further. But nevertheless, network marketing is basically promoting the idea that every individual that gets involved is starting at their own pyramid, so to speak. And what you will be doing is building a continuous chain of other owners in the aim of eliminating a tangible bottom. Most network marketers think that there's no such thing as an actual bottom of a pyramid, because essentially people are constantly being born. Somebody's always turning 18, which is usually about how old you need to be in the States to sign up into one of these type of businesses. So there's a philosophy out there that there isn't really true saturation to the extent where there's no one left to get involved with an opportunity. And that, of course, has some varied opinions about that as well. And again, because I don't really want to turn your attention in any direction, I say is really something for you to evaluate for yourself along those lines of reasoning. But one thing that I do notice, and that I did notice in particular, was that before some people can even get started on their path in network marketing to even see if those types of benefits exist, a lot of people are introduced into the industry by people who simply don't handle things correctly out the gate with them. So I'll give you an example. Let's say an old coworker calls you on a Monday night and they're pumped up about this new business opportunity and they want to share it with you. So they don't really tell you too much about it, but they do assure you that it's something that you need to check out. So you're interested because of their demonstration of enthusiasm and excitement. So a couple of days later, you link up, maybe they stop by, you meet up at a coffee shop, something along those lines, and they give you some details. Now you hear them out about everything, and everything sounds kind of good, right? But you still want some more information, and you also want confirmation from other people besides your coworker that this opportunity is something that is a positive thing to be a part of and that can yield the results that they're sharing with you. So perhaps they put you on a call with somebody, maybe a three-way call with another individual, somebody who is making a lot more money in this particular opportunity. At least that at that point is the talking points that are taking place, that they're making a lot more and that they've helped a lot of people, that they've been successful at it for X amount of time. So now you got some third party confirmation, and then this kind of validates, okay, well maybe this is something that's real solid. I already know my old coworker or my friend, they wouldn't put me in anything that's not legit. I just want to make sure some other people are actually doing it besides them, because remember, whoever introduces you rather, a lot of times is usually going to be somebody who's more or less a peer, and because sometimes you are looking at them almost on the same level that you may look at yourself in terms of, it's kind of like an even playing field. A lot of times people want to know that there's another person who has superseded their growth. And this basically leads to you hitting up a hotel meeting or maybe a get together at someone's home. You meet some nice people. They share their testimonials. Everybody's friendly. Everybody's welcoming. And, they basically talk about how both these products and services that are being talked about has changed their life, as well as the income opportunity that is presented as well. So you sit through a presentation with typically a sharp speaking person, somebody who can explain everything. And then it answers most of your questions, but then you're kind of hanging around afterward. And, you're still kind of hesitant. You think it might be something that's cool to get involved in. You're not sure. But between all the people that you're seeing, between your coworker or whoever it is that brought you on to this, you kind of start getting your blood circulating a little bit. And you start dreaming again about some of the possibilities that you can experience through what appears to be a lucrative financial income stream. And then that prospect of you getting out of debt, you going out, copping that Beamer that you want, that Benz, whatever it is that you like, taking vacations, going overseas, hitting up wherever you want, Thailand or going to the UK, going to Brazil, doing whatever you want to do whenever you feel like it. It seems like this is a ticket to make all of that happen. So even though you're a bit reluctant, you do sense that there is great potential. And in that moment, at least, you have a heightened sense of belief. And again, you have trust with the person that actually introduced you to this. So you figure, hey, even though I'm a little bit hesitant about this, between this dose of peer pressure and everything else that's going on, maybe I should just go ahead and take a chance, right? So you fill out the paperwork, you hand over your debit or your credit card, and then voila, congratulations, you're now in business. You are now officially a network marketer. But then something happens. Over the next few weeks, the person that got you started with this, you're noticing that they're not really as accessible as they were before you actually got involved. And now you got a hell of a lot of questions, and they really can't even answer them for you because they don't even really have all the answers themselves, because, as you soon discovering, they're kind of just building themselves up in this thing as well. Or maybe they've been a part of it for a while, but they really haven't achieved a certain level of results that either they were proclaiming or a certain level of results that they can really help you see through. So now what you do is you come to the realization that this individual's real thing was just to get you enrolled, because there's a bonus system that takes place based on getting people started. And instead of actually helping you to launch your new opportunity, basically it was just a matter of just signing you up. So now that modest investment that had a potential for an incredible return has now, in your mind, at least up until this point, turned into a big waste of money. Maybe now you got to explain it to your girl if you bank together, or, whatever it is that your situation is, even if it's just you, you might have a little bit of a bitter taste in your mouth, because now all you want to do is just get your money back. And that individual might have even severed some sort of a friendship that you had with them. And, it's one of those things where it's like, wait a minute, I should never got involved with this operation. Then you go and you talk to your friends and your family, and then the first thing they tell you is, oh, no, you shouldn't have did that. You shouldn't have got involved with X company or this or that opportunity. Basically, I did that 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever, and I didn't make money in it, and everybody in it, they just want to get your money and run off with. So now you got all these other people in your ear, and it just completely discourages everything. And this is not an uncommon type of an experience that a lot of people have when they first get involved in network marketing. Now, here's where I want to give a few suggestions to both the network marketer and also the one that's interested in network marketing. But I'm going to start with the network marketer who's already actively involved in business opportunity, especially. First, understand that your role is very important when it comes to recruiting people into your particular business opportunity. You're dealing with people's money and you're dealing with people's time. So I know that a lot of business opportunities out there have bonus systems where when you recruit people into your opportunity, it represents X amount of dollars, but it's really important that you don't start walking around looking at your friends, family, especially, as just having dollar signs hanging over their head and representing more money in your checking account. Because when you enroll people into your opportunity and you don't actually exercise the proper responsibility towards those individuals and get them started off on a good path, make sure that you've aligned them with whatever they need in order to be successful, much more often than not, you will definitely leave a bitter taste inside of their mouth, and they can come to resent you for a very long time and may always resent you. You can lose a lot of relationships by handling things and handling people improperly when it comes to network marketing. Another thing I want you to keep in mind is, if you haven't spoken to some of your friends or family in a while, and all of a sudden you start hitting them up out the clear blue sky with all this enthusiasm about this new opportunity that you got, And when you know you only talk to these people at family reunions once or twice a year, if that, it's going to be difficult a lot of times to actually recruit these individuals into the business or even get them to be supporters, whether it's clients or customers of your products and services. Because usually when you get started in a business in network marketing, you're told by either the person that got you started or by another person to usually get a list of people. Put all the contacts that you know, everybody that you can think of, from your first grade teacher to the dude next door, everybody that you can think of, right? Because you want to start going through this list and making it as big as possible to catch momentum. And essentially what you want to start doing is calling people up, using your script a lot of times, which is oftentimes like a basic pitch to arouse interest and see, if you can essentially get people to meet up with you to talk about the opportunity or start getting around your products and services, etc., as customers. But what happens is you come across very scripted a lot of times. You can sound real cheesy, real corny, very unnatural, and most of all, and worse, just really disingenuous. So when you know you haven't really had a healthy relationship with some of these people in a while, or just one where you at least talk to them on a regular, they know that your interest in them isn't just in business. It can basically get to a point where you end up burning through that warm market list very quickly, when in reality, if you're a person who has 50 or 100 or 150 or more numbers of people, ideally you should be able to work through those people when the good relationships are there, even if working through them simply means being able to make them aware of what you're doing and where they have a positive sort of an attitude about it, whatever it is, because they have a positive attitude about you. And even if they are not getting involved, you can work through their networks to kind of make life easier on yourself. But a lot of times what happens is people make these lists. They want to call a cousin that they don't even talk to, or somebody that they haven't seen since high school. And, sometimes it works out well because people haven't spoken to you in a while. They're excited about whatever it is that you want to talk about. But a lot of times it just doesn't really go too good. And the next thing you're in that mode of approaching strangers on the street. And at that point, especially if you haven't really developed a skill set, it's pretty much an uphill climb of taking people through the cycle of building rapport and trying to get trust. Another thing, and I think that this is extremely important, especially if I was doing it all over again, I will focus much more on being a better networker in general than being a better network marketer. So what I mean by that is this. I would adopt the philosophy that I'm a professional networker first, which is really about cultivating mutually beneficial win-win relationships with people. And when you're a professional networker first, what you'll start to do is you realize the value of people first, not the value that they present based on how valuable they can be by getting involved with your opportunity. So what you're going to start doing is realizing that any encounter that you have with a person, you want it to lead to something positive when it's all said and done, where there's some sort of community, some sort of brotherhood, etc., that you can establish with this person, even if it doesn't come in a way that you may have anticipated. So a networker, not a network marketer first, but an actual networker, they're going to tailor their approach when they're having conversations with people to the needs and desires of that other person in particular. They're going to look at individuals as individuals, not just using this very generic cookie cutter approach when it comes to dealing with people. And they also know that they have the skill of helping them to meet those needs without trying to force that the need be met through a means that they want to benefit from. In other words, you may discover that what benefits the person that you're trying to network with may have absolutely nothing to do with your particular business opportunity. And you should be 100% okay with that, because networking is really about how you can be of service to another person first, not how you can basically get in good with them so they can benefit you first. It's about basically taking the initiative to be the first to serve. So through that sincere effort, when you're really networking with people that you really want to network with, people that you're really interested in developing some sort of relationship with, even if you're not earning anything from that person through your particular network marketing opportunity, you can actually fortify a relationship and gain a reputation for being a stand up and a solid dude overall. And that is basically what's going to carry you through much more than any sort of exposure tactics and tips and anything like that that you may have learned throughout the industry that's good for arousing interest and getting a person to get around your products and services. Because when you're a real solid networker first, a person will begin to know that if you're involved with something, it must be legit. It must be solid because you're doing it, and they know you because you develop a consistency and you've developed a history with them, and that can be 10 times more powerful than any sort of a third party validating you. Another thing that I think is really important to keep in mind if you're a network marketer is it's critical that you avoid being so consumed with your business that even your general conversations with people that you know are now dominated in some capacity by your network marketing business. In some way, shape, or form, you could be sitting up there watching the game, whatever it is, you somehow bring it around to whatever it is that you got going on in network marketing, right? You could be looking at one of the players drink some Gatorade or something like that on the floor, and if you in some sort of beverage type of business, oh man, look at how many people are drinking. Hey, that should tell you right there. That's a sign. That's a clue. A lot of people out here and they don't know all the different opportunities that the food and beverage industry has. Like all of a sudden, people don't even want to talk to you because every time they get around you, you always want to talk about your network marketing business. And that happens a lot of times with people, right? Because when you're in those meetings and when you're in your trainings, you realize that the opportunity could be lucrative. So then your state of mind a lot of times ends up going towards that. And it's like you forget to just be a regular cool dude like you've been. And also, I think it's important that you don't speak about other business opportunities that are out there in a disparaging way. Just because it's another opportunity maybe that a person was checking out, or another opportunity out there maybe that they haven't heard of, and you want to try to use them as a scapegoat to make yourself look better. You just come across as a hater. You end up sounding like that dude in high school that is trying to talk to a girl, but he doesn't want her to talk to another dude, so he starts throwing little things in there like, oh, he ain't even got an after school job. Stuff like that. Well, look at his clothes. Basically trying to make sure that the attraction is not on anything else but you. That happens a lot of times with network marketers, and it's really sad because I think that sometimes you can get so caught up in being in the environment of going to your weekly or bi-weekly trainings or whatever it is, and going to all these events and associating with people within your opportunity so much, and everybody's reading every personal development book out there and listening to every audio book, and then it just gets to a point where sometimes you become so obsessive with it that in real time it just doesn't come across that well. So that's something I would definitely tell you to make sure that you're being aware of. Another thing I would say as well, that would be a good idea to kind of be mindful is basically don't get so caught up in whatever system that your opportunity presents, that basically you just look at everything like it's a numbers game. So in other words, okay, out of 10 people, if I go and I approach 10 people, I'm sure I can get one person to, either be a customer or a customer or client of whatever it is that I'm endorsing, or, maybe I can get one to actually get involved in the business. Maybe I can get one that actually puts me on to somebody else. A lot of times you just start looking at people and treating them as if they're like, coming off of some assembly line, and all you got to do is just use these very simple kind of, I call them cookie cutter approaches, and they're solid in a way because they kind of help you manage when you're dealing with things and people in general. And it kind of helps you to kind of project what you can expect from your activities. But at the same time, again, you just have to be aware of, you have to be a regular person. You have to be, yes, you should definitely have some advancement if you're in a network marketing opportunity. And, there should be a lot of things that people can tell are different about you in a positive way, a lot of positive changes that you're making. But in terms of just getting so caught up in just that whole thing. And if you're in it, if you've ever been in it, then you can understand where I'm coming from. But I just hope that you don't really lose sight and lose relationships because of doing things that are just not reasonable. Not talking about not being committed to your goal, but a lot of times you get, so attracted to maybe somebody in your opportunity who's doing really well, somebody who's saying that they're multiple six-figure earner, multiple seven-figure earner, etc. And, it's almost like you do anything to be half of whom they become, or to get a third of what they got. And sometimes you think that if I can just copy and paste whatever they do, then that'll work. But it doesn't really translate too well. So I would just tell you that those are some really, really key things to keep in mind as you're moving to your network marketing opportunity. And now just a few pointers for those out there who are actually considering getting involved in a network marketing opportunity. Just a few things to consider. If you are considering getting involved in a network marketing company, I think it's really important that you understand that choosing a business opportunity that resonates with you is really critical. Because when you learn the details of a product or a service, on paper, it can make all the sense in the world. But if you don't really have a true belief that it'll work for you, then most of the time it won't work for you. So you should definitely make sure that you are comfortable in making your decision. Granted, cold feet is natural when you're doing something that's new or that's different, or where you're talking about putting your money into something, and especially if you're not really used to putting your money into things, and maybe you've always kind of done things the traditional job way. Maybe taking a few hundred or a few $1,000s is not really something that you've been accustomed to before, or even if it's under $100. But definitely make sure that you have an understanding as to what you're getting involved with. So a few things to keep in mind is to give some consideration to the reputation of the company that you're thinking of, whether it be a long established company or a newer one. Kind of even ask around and just kind of check with different people and different opportunities, whose opinion you trust, or even just people in general that may have heard of certain types of companies out there, and just kind of get some feedback. Now, some people, they're inclined to give you feedback that's going to be biased, and that could be in a positive or a negative way, where because they know somebody who's doing something and they like that person, they'll probably applaud it. But then if they maybe have heard of an experience or two or more where something really didn't go too well within a certain company, then they'll oftentimes condemn it. So again, use your own mind, but at the same time, I think it's also wise to make sure that you're not putting yourself in a situation that you can end up regretting later just because you didn't do some homework ahead of time. And also, don't let people try to pressure you into a certain opportunity, because a lot of times what happens is whoever exposed you to the business, if you see that they're, come on, let's get started, let me get you in, let's do this, let's do that, and trying to promise you the world that everything is going to be cool as soon as you get involved. A lot of times those people are trying to qualify for some type of compensation plan, or for some type of compensation benefit rather, that might be going on within their company, and it's really good timing for them, but it may not necessarily be a good time for you. So a lot of times this will happen, especially if they just maybe came from like a major event, and they caught a flight somewhere and they come back, oh man, I was in Dallas, or I was in Miami or Orlando or Houston or LA, or middle of wherever, Kentucky or wherever it is that people go to their events. And they come back, they're enthusiastic, they may have said something to you before they left, but now they're like 10 times more turned up than they were before. And you might be thinking, okay, they just kind of feeling a lot more excited because they got around other people who are killing it, within this opportunity. But sometimes it's that, but sometimes it's also, they might see that if they get X amount of people to get started in the next week or two, then that may represent, 2 or 3 times as much money than if they would have got those people started within the next, month or two, etc. So just be very careful of that. And a lot of times, if you find that a person is trying to introduce you into an opportunity in that way, it kind of can tell you also about their own business maturity as well, and their knowledgeableness about dealing with people and taking people through cycles at an appropriate level and at an appropriate pace. So just definitely keep that in mind. Of course, again, you might have some hesitancy, but if you don't have a good vibe about something, then that can really be an early detractor from any type of success before you even get a chance to get started. Another thing, too, I think that's really important to know is that you don't have to get involved with the person who initially introduced you into the business. You don't have to feel obligated to that person. Most of the time, it's going to be somebody that you already knew, and you don't have to feel uncomfortable of getting directly signed up or enrolled with that particular person. And sometimes they might kind of feel some type of way about it if you don't. But that's not really your problem, because this is your opportunity if you decide to get involved with it. So I think it's important that you have access to lines of leadership that's over that person. You know, you figure out who got them involved and maybe who got that person involved, etc., throughout the hierarchy, and see what type of culture is kind of created within that group of people. You want to make sure that people have well-rounded personalities, because a lot of times these people that are getting you involved, they'll be actually helping you out. Especially when you first start out within your business opportunity, when it comes to talking to other people and when you're kind of nervous or don't know what to say. A lot of times these people who brought you in are going to be the ones to do a lot of the speaking for you. So you want to make sure that they're approachable, that they're good communicators, that they're genuine people from what you know, etc. Just that they're solid all around. And even if a person has the best intentions in the world, sometimes they may not necessarily have the qualifications to help you get the end results that you really want within your particular opportunity. So I think looking at opportunities that are duplicating success throughout all types of people, whether you're a very educated person, maybe not so much academically educated, etc., whatever skill set you might have in life, interpersonally, all that, I think is really important to kind of examine the results that are being produced and that are being duplicated in a positive way. And that brings me to another point as well, and that is that a lot of people in network, or a lot of people considering network marketing, they often make the mistake of associating the price of enrollment with the value of that particular business opportunity. So sometimes, because again, you can start with some of these things for $50. Sometimes I think, well, I don't really hear often times where it's a lot less than that, but generally speaking, $100 or a couple $100, etc., just for you to maybe get started within the opportunity. And because it's not a lot of money, a lot of times, and you might figure, well, I just blew like $200-300 going to the club over the last month or two, so even if it doesn't work, hey, it ain't that much of a big deal. But at the same time, you don't want to lose money either. But I think that sometimes you can just kind of get short-sighted of what might be on the table within your particular opportunity if you see it valuable, by simply thinking that because it didn't cost a lot to get started, that it's not something you have to necessarily take that seriously and put forth your best effort in. So again, I don't want to encourage or discourage. I'm just giving you a lot of just insight as to what goes on. And again, these are kind of things that I would tell myself, again, both as a network marketer who's involved, as well as a person who will be getting involved. These are things that I would tell myself over again. But again, this is all information for you to assess as you listen to this. But if you are going to be involved, I would suggest definitely making sure that you kind of have something set aside, like maybe some sort of an account if there's going to be any sort of recurring expenses, even if it's not that much within your opportunity, if that's what it takes to make it roll on a monthly basis, etc. Having some sort of a budget, making sure that you're definitely attending those meetings and those events and things like that, where you oftentimes get a hell of a lot of encouragement. So just make sure that these are some things that you keep in mind as you kind of go through this whole thing if you decide to get involved. Now, one thing that I kind of want to close out with is that sometimes you have to assess things from a vantage point, as far as what am I really getting here? What am I really getting out of this whole thing? And what may seem like, what might be the ideal thing that you're getting out of something may not be actually what is best for you to get from it. So what I mean by that is, one thing that I noticed in network marketing and a couple of the different opportunities that I was in was that it taught me some transferable skill sets. That was more important than anything. Yes, when I did the work, I did get compensated, and I'm not going to get into a whole thing like that. It was never really that deep. I was never like one of those top income earners or anything like that in network marketing. And a lot of that was just because of, I think, my personal learning curve and just some things that were going on with me those several years ago. But nonetheless, some of the benefits that I found was that it definitely helped me a lot in the way of personal development, helped me a lot in the way of different people, different authors who are out there. It introduced me to Napoleon Hill. Make sure you definitely check him out. It didn't introduce me to Robert Kiyosaki. I was already familiar with him, but a lot of people, T. Harv Eker, just a lot of people, Bob Proctor, a lot of different personal development authors, Jim Rohn, legendary. Definitely make sure you check out Jim Rohn stuff. And I think that was probably one of the best things that it really did is put me, or further my path, I should say, towards my commitment towards personal development, because I just learned so much, and you have to actually really develop a lot of skill sets in order to be a successful network marketer. A lot of interpersonal skills, a lot of things that you just need to become, a lot of changes in your state of mind, etc., in order to kind of shift from the employee mindset, if you come from that, into the entrepreneurial mindset. So Les Brown, another one. I think that is probably one of the most valuable things that you're going to get from it, as well as from a cultural standpoint. It does feel good to be in those environments, to be around different people from all walks of life and going to these major events and just seeing the positivity that's taking place and people being enthusiastic about what it is that they're doing and the benefits that they've received. And it kind of gives you, it's almost like you're in somewhat of a protected environment when it comes to when you're in those settings versus just kind of being out and about, generally speaking, in your day-to-day life. So those are some other things that I think are really, really cool about network marketing, as far as just what I experienced from it. But you also just want to know that you need to manage your expectations. Manage your expectations, everything from realizing that people are people before they're anything. So no matter what a person says, no matter how high up on the food chain they might be within their respective opportunity, etc., people are people. So don't get caught up in what people are saying. And a lot of times people in network marketing presents people with the opportunity to actually try to earn income while they work on building themselves up. And most businesses typically aren't necessarily designed that way. It's like you need to kind of have your ducks in a row and make sure that you're on point before you start operating a business, whether it be from understanding general operations to making sure that you have the customer service skill set, etc. But in network marketing, you can actually come in as a person with a very limited background in business, if any, whatsoever. And you can also be a person who may not be the best speaker, the best when it comes to just having conversations, and you can begin to learn a lot of those skill sets within that opportunity, and also potentially earn income as well. So it's almost like I remember thinking to myself that some of the things that I had learned was kind of like getting probably an associate's degree in psychology, or maybe like some sort of certification in business management, just because of the things that I was learning very on that I really hadn't been exposed to before. Then, of course, again, it put me on a path to just network marketing, or excuse me, not network marketing, but a path to marketing in general, because a lot of the principles in network marketing that I learned, I've actually been able to adopt into other aspects of my life. So I think that is also another really, really cool thing about it. But, again, you have to be aware of what you're getting involved in. You want to make sure that if you are in an opportunity, that is not one where it strictly revolves around just simply recruiting people. And that's the only way, because that is when things get real, real sketchy a lot of times. And you just want to make sure that you're doing something that you're comfortable with, and that you don't associate the value that you see with the value through someone else's eyes, rather. So don't let another person kind of shape your decision or kind of steer you within a path in order to help you make a decision as much as you want to be able to take in information and assess things for yourself, because ultimately you will be the one that's responsible for your outcomes within those opportunities. Because there's no contract that I've heard of, at least, that says that when you get enrolled in a network marketing opportunity that anybody has to help you. Most of the time people are helping you because they are expecting that you're going to follow a certain protocol, which is going to lead to a predictable result that benefits them, and that if you duplicate that, then it'll benefit you, and so on and so forth. So that's really the name of the game. So I just wanted to make that video for everybody out there. And again, I wanted to focus on a lot of the overall aspects of network marketing. I wanted to focus on some of the warning signs, some of the things that I thought I benefited from, but also at the same time, some things that you probably need to take some caution towards, and really just kind of give you a well-rounded approach without trying to sway your attitude in any particular direction. But definitely hope that everybody out there enjoyed this one. Hope it answered a lot of your questions. I definitely want to know what people thought in the comment section too. So feel free to drop me a line down below. And as always, it's peace and love till next time. And I'll check you on the next one.